here for an episode of UnCAGED with Nera. Nera, what would you say your school of philosophy is?
The school of philosophy? Are we talking about training?
No. I'm talking about philosophy like Aristotle, Plato.
That'd be Aristotelian for sure.
Explain to our audience what that means.
Really? You want me to go into depth on that? It means you got to start off with Aristotelian metaphysic. A is A, 2 + 2 = 4. You work your way all the way up from there. Epistemology, ethics, economics, politics, all come back to that one metaphysic.
If you had to distill down into one statement what it means to be an Aristotelian, what would you say? What would be something that someone can take from this and go Google it, and you're going to open a whole new door to them in their lives? Empower our audience right now.
Logic and reason. Everything goes back to logic and reason. If you have contradictions, you got to recheck your premise, work your way back, and work your way forward. No contradictions.
How does that apply to another discipline that you're stellar in, the arena of the weights?
You could just say, the set principle, specific adaptation, imposed demand. Everything you're doing, it has to make sense. You can't be doing burpees hoping that that's going to make you deadlift, 800 pounds. It's not going to work. There has to be some kind of logical explanation for what you're doing.
Okay. That actually makes perfect sense. I like that. I think we're on to something. I think you might have opened a new door for me. So I appreciate that.
Progressive overload.
Yeah, I'll thank you ahead of time for that. Yeah. You're also a defender of golden era hip hop music, correct? It plays an important part of your life. So you can be both things. I've been defending that premise since I was 8 years old, that you can be ultra smart dude and love hip hop, right?
Well, I think only smart people actually love the old school hip hop. I think if you like the new hip hop,
fair enough. I don't want to entirely isolate our younger audience.
Yeah, not all.
I like a lot of that shit still, but I understand. I understand what you mean. So, who's your favorite group ever? Who do you listen to when you train and it's fucking serious? You're going in, it's an important workout. It's a few weeks out from a rum or from a serious competition or from the cage. Who do you listen to while you train?
If we're talking hip hop, that's kind of tough. Goes around the way. Sometimes I want to say DMX just because he's aggressive. Sure. And what's neat about DMX is he has the lowest vocabulary out of all rappers. The amount of words he uses is so low.
Right.
But the message and the intensity behind it is pretty insane. He's so much intensity to it. But I like 50. I didn't like 50 when 50 was hitting it big, but then, all the way up until I Get Money, I kind of like his stuff.
So young, hungry 50 Cent.
Oh yeah, if you listen to I'll Whoop Your Head Boy,
right.
Well, you're going to lift to that.
Okay, so if Aristotle and DMX were having a conversation.
Oh, that'd be interesting.
What would go on? What would be the topic?
Oh, that's a pretty tough conversation.
Well, how does
I guess they're both after the pursuit of happiness.
Okay.
So they could find common ground there.
Okay, so it's ultimately the pursuit of happiness and how you define it.
How they define it, yeah.
How the individual defines it. Yeah. How does Nera define happiness right now?
That's a very broad question. I would have been happy if I would have at least attempted an 800-pound deadlift yesterday. That would have been happiness. Wasn't feeling it though.
But you're benching 500 pounds these days, eh?
Yes, I am. Didn't do it in the cage yesterday. But I got it to about here. Couldn't lock it out.
But that was a big mountaintop to climb for you. You got
that felt good. That was an awesome feeling. Just took so long for me to go from that 400 when I started powerlifting to finally get that 500, huge jump, and it felt awesome.
So these guys know that this shit doesn't happen overnight. How old were you when you hit, 400 or 4 plates? And then how long did it take you to get from that point to the point where you're benching 500 pounds?
That's depressing, actually.
It's not depressing. It's
benching 400
it's proof of what the process is and how long this shit takes.
I probably benching 400 around 22, 23.
Okay.
So it took almost a decade. Mind you, I wasn't powerlifting this whole time, and I didn't actually start bench pressing as a lift until 26, 27, but it took a long time.
So around, say, 10 years, a decade of your life dedicated to progressing 100 pounds in that lift.
Yeah.
Because this shit doesn't happen overnight.
It doesn't happen overnight. Yeah, it's like that saying, if you knew how hard I worked to get where I was at, you wouldn't be impressed.
Yeah, that's right. But that's the beauty of it,
Wouldn't
right?
be impressed.
But that's the beauty of it,
Yeah.
right?